My name is Nicholas Castagliola, and I'm here to talk about water. 1.2 billion people in communities worldwide don't have access to it. Various methods have been applied to solve this problem, but they don't work due to surface and groundwater pollution and unfavorable location. Communities are then forced to rely on outside sources of water, which, more often than not, leads to conflict and instability. That's where our focus is. Currently, we are working with a small village located in El Salvador, which is home to low-income farmers. This village, found in the mountains outside La Palma, is close to the Honduras border and about 10 miles from the nearest polluted water source. So how are we helping? By collecting an abundant and underutilized source, rainwater. With the use of a bioswale, a method commonly used for floodwater mitigation, we're able to collect and filter this water through several engineered soil layers. These layers, made of various sand particles, work together to filter out contaminated soils. The water that passes through these soils is then stored underground, safe from any outside contamination or vandalism. This water is then distributed to the town through the use of solar-powered pumps. Together, our bioswales and solar-powered pumps make our system self-sufficient and easily maintained. Now, while the initial estimated materials cost for this El Salvador project is $500,000, our system is basically paying for itself within 2 years based on the current price of imported water and the hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars spent drawing water from rivers and underground sources. As for the various regions around the world that don't have access to these sources, that's where our system comes in. Our design is able to change depending on the type of region it is implemented in. It is adaptable and therefore highly marketable. Our target customers are governments and international aid agencies. By teaming up with groups such as Engineers Without Borders and the Army Corps of Engineers, we will improve these struggling communities tremendously. Efforts to build roads, schools, homes will have far higher likelihood of success, will have far greater meaning when communities have access to the one thing they all need to strive and survive: clean, potable water.
So, you may know water is an issue in Hoboken, so we're going to start with a question from the mayor.
So how much water are you collecting in one of these systems, and is there anything additional besides going through the bioswale? Is there anything additional that needs to be done to make sure that that water is safe for consumption?
Okay. So ideally, based off our calculations and looking at weather patterns, we see that in El Salvador receives an extreme amount of rain over the year, about 7 feet, we estimated. So ideally, we have 3 underground tanks that store about 30,000 to 35,000 gallons, making the underground storage about 100,000 gallons of water. And the above ground storage we have, which is the water that's going to be distributed to the town, will have a purification system in it, as well as about 30,000 gallons of storage. So altogether, we're planning to have about 120 to 130,000 gallons.
I agree that providing water to villages will be an incredible uplift for them. You said that not much maintenance was required. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So ideally, since we're using a natural filter, the only thing that might collect a lot of sediment would be the top layer. So this might require maybe once every 1 or 2 years a grooming of the top layer. But ideally, the water that passes through this can be free from sediment. We're basing our system off collecting a lot of rainwater. Since we're at the top of a hill, in this case, in El Salvador, we're not too worried about runoff contributing to it, but in towns that it will, we'll worry about factoring in maintenance costs to come in yearly to groom the top and remove any kind of sediment that we don't need.
Good job. Thank you very much. Big round of applause. Presentation skills on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest. Please raise your scores and hold them up for a moment while we capture. And now on the business viability. All right.